Hi guys, I'm Kelly T from Kelly T Black Metal Reviews. I am very pleased to be joined today by Jonas. He is the creator behind the dark ambient experimental black metal project Xchnum Miiimiiikry, hailing from Germany. Welcome, Jonas.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. How did I go with that pronunciation?
Oh yeah, I've told you it is a tough one because it's not a German word. It's a combination of two words. It's Xchnum, Xchnum from the Xchnum, and Miiimiiikry. Miiimiiikry, it's easy to understand, I guess. Miiimiiikry, of course, it's the same, I guess, in English than in German. Yeah. And Xchnum comes from the Egyptian ram-headed god, this animal, this goat-like creature with the horns.
Right.
A ram.
Well,
and so the name Xchnum is a mixture of the Egyptian name, but with I have no idea how to pronounce it right, and so I write it with an X, and this makes it more complicated.
Yeah, definitely. It's certainly intimidating when you see it on paper. That's for sure. It's an intimidating name to want to have to pronounce. But I just want to give people watching a bit of an overview if you're not familiar with this artist's work. You know, I just want to run through it a little bit. You know, you do create such a sound of isolation. You've got a translation of just such darkness, and it's incredibly intriguing and very, very unique. And I feel like it's very hard to describe your music because it's one that you really just have to go and listen to for yourself and just get something out of it and go through that journey on your own. But I want to start from the beginning because you've put out so much content this year, 2020. It's been a massive year for you and it's been hard to keep up. But I want to go back to the start, of course. So as I mentioned, a lot of releases this year. Where did this all start for you? You know, how far back does your love of metal go, black metal in particular, and what was the pinnacle point for you to just decide to create such a dark and experimental black metal project?
This is a good question. Xchnum started in, I guess, January or February this year, so especially this project. The mindset is a bit older, but I cannot tell you how old it involved with the time. It was always in some parts of my mind that I wanted to do this, and this year with the lockdown and with everything that happens, it grows very fast.
Yeah,
and was totally surprised by that because I basically started with buying a cheap guitar on eBay. I cannot really play good guitar. My chords totally suck. This is just the truth. And I don't want to diss someone, but I thought, this would be fit to black metal. And so I was into it, and I always based my ideas on the lyrics. Started my whole creative journey as a poet, and so I translated from poetry slowly into music. Also, this year I'm confident enough to try black metal.
Yeah. Excellent. I mean, it's interesting because COVID, it's been such a negative year, but obviously for musicians such as yourself, the silver lining is that you've been able to produce so much. And I was going to ask you that, whether this was your plan when you started the project to put out as much content as you have, or was it the COVID isolation and lockdown that enabled you to be able to punch out so much?
Normally it was just my plan to record 2 tracks, and these 2 tracks are on the demo. On the demo, I called it 1 or I.
Yeah.
And I sent, these are the first 2 tracks I've sent to Gems label. and to Jorge, and he said, oh, he really liked it. I was totally surprised because it is the first time I let someone else publish my stuff.
Right.
It's not by myself, and so I'm this is the first time sharing these kind of conversations. Even I don't know how this works for other artists, talking about what they imagine on their cover, and will it be released. Normally I just do stuff and I release it on Bandcamp, and I have no business plan. I'm worse in I'm totally shit in being famous and business making. I would never be successful in that.
Yeah, well, you're doing pretty well so far. So, and I mean, Gems is a great label to be having distributing your work as well, that's for sure. One thing I love about your style, you know, you create such a theatrical visual experience that goes hand in hand with your music, and you showcase this perfectly on your Instagram page. It's like, it's fucking dark, man. I love your Insta page. It's so interesting. But I'd love to know where this idea came from to combine this really dark art to match your soundscapes, you know, because it's really interesting and it's quite unique. I know there's a couple of artists that do things similar, but there's not many. And do you carry that through to your live performances as well? Because I do know that you do a couple of live, small, intimate shows.
Yes. At first, visuals are really important to me because I cannot just do a song and leave it alone. It has to have a cover. It has to have a certain image. Of course, it cannot always have a video. This is a budget thing.
Yeah.
But I always try to make it a little bit more round, to cut the edges away and make it aesthetic. Aesthetics are really, really, really important. And I know that I totally break these common black metal aesthetics. They are more lo-fi, they are more reduced, and I'm just not good in doing. I cannot. I look shit. I look totally shit when I do this. And so I'm not wearing corpse paint. At first, I hide my face. I've hidden my face because it's not very important. It's a little bit like the opinion of nobody. I think if you like a project, it's not really necessary to know me in private or as a person. If you do, okay, but you just can take the music and give some more space for nice ideas, for fitting ideas, for graphics, for lyric videos. This is it's like an experience, like a whole experience. And
Absolutely.
if I make a song, I have problems with leaving it instrumentally, because I always think I need to sing on this and I need to make a cover on this. I cannot stop.
Yeah, I get that. And it's interesting because when I have seen some of your just your short clips and whatnot on your Instagram page, it makes me wonder, because you do it so well and it's so convincing, you're really channeling what your music is about. So I wondered whether you did have some sort of background in theatre, because you feel like you're in this dark, almost Phantom of the Opera type situation when you see your visuals. It's really incredible.
No, not theatrical background, but I have a little past as a poetry slammer. You know what? And stage was always an important thing to me, because I write my tracks that I can perform then singing on stage.
Yeah.
And this is for me very, very important, because techniques can be very seducing. So that you say, oh, I cheat a little bit on this and I cheat a little bit on this and I create something that is just sounds really good, but live it sucks.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always the other way around. When I record tracks here, I do this in my office. When I record tracks, I always take most times the first take because I'm lazy. And I think if people want to enjoy the full capacity of my voice or of what I can do, come to the live show and then I will show you more.
Yeah, and I imagine it would be a very intense experience. While we're on the subject of live shows, I did see a couple of weeks ago you advertised that you do have a live show coming up. Is that still happening? And this is a great time to tell people where they can catch this live show and what we can expect from that as well. I mean, how eccentric are you going to be taking this one?
Yeah, there are a few. This show will happen. This stands. There is no Corona fucking me up, but I hope so. I hope so. Inshallah.
Yeah.
But I have next to me, I have my own dungeon where I can perform live shows.
Ich habe dich zu Tisch gebeten, dann stirbt ein Wesen, nicht all.
I've seen that.
And when I go outside, my visuals are a little bit limited. I can take the cage with me, and I can take all the dolls and the puppets and the stuff with me. Not yet. It's too difficult. I would need to deconstruct everything, and I don't want this. So if I play this concert, it will be in a gallery of some friends of me. They are doing totally different kind of shows. If you are a country musician, you can play there. If you are a punk musician, you can play there. And they know me for a few years, and so they trust that I don't burn the house down or something like this. It will be really, really intense. So you can imagine the people. The room is very small. We will have just a few lights, no distracting things, and I will perform on. If you are there, I will perform in front of you, with no stage. Most times I'm performing on my knees because I'm crawling around and stuff like this. And so, if on an emotional level, it will be intense, but I cannot keep up the visual experience like this.
Yeah.
It's more like a seance or stuff like that.
Black metal, I mean, it's a genre that's, traditionally staunch and mean and nasty, and let's face it, fans can be quite elite. How have you found coming into the black metal scene, given you're on the you're on the experimental spectrum of the subgenre? Has the community been welcoming to you? Has it been a positive experience so far? What's your overall feel?
I'm not sure if I'm really in the black metal scene or if I'm just part of the musical underground. Because I like to collaborate with all kind of people and bands, and they are all very, very friendly and talented musicians, passionate about what they are doing, and this is just incredible. So I don't have a local scene here in Germany, or they are hidden so well that I can find them anyway. This can be possible, but it is very interesting for me that as a German, you can, with singing in German, with most people not understanding my lyrics, you can slip into a scene and still being welcome. And I cannot thank Gems for this enough, because without Jorge on Gems and without Gems, I would not be able to share it with so many people, and this is still like a like a fever dream. It's crazy, or
Yeah.
sometimes that people care.
Must be a good feeling. And yeah, Jem certainly works very hard in the scene, that's for sure. So yeah, it must be a great feeling. Let's talk about some of your music though. I was lucky enough to have Modus Operandi, this one here. This was so different for me, you know, like this was not what I was used to listening to. And I just found it so twisted and disturbed, which is no doubt exactly how you had intended it to be. I mean, there's even a track on here that basically is a how to carry out an autopsy and necrophilia 101. It's pretty messed up, but it's so damn good too, and it really did grow on me. And I think with every listen, I realised how subjective this type of music really is, and how you've got to be in the mood for that sort of style. But I'd love to know, you know, what the idea behind this album. Oh, just dropped the disc, sorry, disrespecting your album. What the idea behind this album is, and its inspiration, its story, so to speak.
Yeah, this is really an interesting thing, because Modus Operandi was released before my debut album and after the demo. So it's basically like patient number 0. It has no really space in the, why is it there? And this is what the music feels about. I think modus operandi is the right term to describe it, not just the title, but it is the working method. It is about what can you expect from Xchnum Miiimiiikry. And if you don't like modus operandi, you will not like me in the future either. So I like my creative freedom, and I know for true black metal police out there, this is not an album to be liked. So this is, but I don't care. It is more important that every song has its own meaning, and it's like writing a catharsis. You cannot stop, but you have to be accurate. You need to write down every inch of your journey, not just every footstep you've done, every inch you do. And this is modus operandi, more like a step between two other steps.
Yeah, it's certainly intense. And I mean, your vocals on this one as well, you've got a really good vocal, you know, it's so intense and gravelly. It's a cult vocal, really. Scratch your ear from here. But I loved it. And it's interesting that you say if you don't like this album, you won't like the rest. I find that interesting because if we talk about your album, UMFHU, and you can tell me what that acronym stands for because I have no idea, that was released in May 2020. And for me, this was a whole new world of sounds, you know, much different from Modus Operandi. 7 tracks, heavily droned, crazed, distorted riffs, all sorts of unsettling soundscapes. And then I think you only hear you very mildly in the 1 or 2 tracks, and you're very set back in the production. So it's almost like a full instrumental experience. What did that album mean for you? And do you go into writing an album like that with an intention to create some feeling for the listener? I know most artists do, but I mean, that one was hard to listen to. It was really, really unsettling. Like my stomach was twisting at times. So I just would love to know what that album means for you, and what was its plan? What was its design?
You mean now UMFHU?
Yes.
Album, yes. At first, this is interesting because it is one of the few projects that are basically titled in English,
right.
And so it's easier to share, and it is a little bit like a translation of some ideas into the English language without overstretching the lyrical aspect. So it's most times just scream. I have some distortion pedals used on that. I've sampled with a very old radio some kind of classical music I've heard, and it's distorted from the source is already distorted because the radio is so fucking old and so wasted. And I use the different knobs on the radio to switch between the frequencies.
Yep.
And while performing something like this, and in some kind with distortion pedals, sometimes with guitar, and adding a few things. UMFHU stands for Unleash Mummy from Her Horn.
Right. I knew it would be something dark.
This is how I imagine that this would sound like.
Right.
If you do.
Yep, that makes complete sense. Let's talk about your album that is coming out on the 25th of September. The title's Wonder. It's up on Bandcamp now digitally, but it's being released physically on the 25th. I have to say, this is probably one of my favorites of yours so far. I feel like you've gone back to the black metal roots a bit more within some of these tracks, but you're still maintaining your sounds of, you know, the distortion and the really disturbing soundscapes as well. What is your recording process? You know, how do you record your music? How do you get in the zone? Because you put so much emotion into your music. You can hear that, you can feel it when you're listening to it. So what's your overall process, particularly for this album?
This album was, it started with some very, very basic ideas. I already said I'm not a really good guitar player, and I try to keep it a little bit basic. So you have some very basic elements, me just holding a few strings and so, and this is without distortion. And on Xchnum Miiimiiikry, for the first time on some tracks, me without harsh vocals, so with clean vocals, and to explore more the aspects of folk music or anti-folk music, more a little bit these basic kinds of violence. And so most of the text or of the lyrics are improvised. A few are very constructed. So I have different states of, or different circles of recording things. It starts with a basic idea. These are maybe 2, 3, or 4 tracks. This is like the core of the album. And then I go a little bit further and look what fits between them. And then I will add some installments. And after this, I say, oh, this is so whack. Why it sounds so soft. And then I added the heavy shit.
Right.
And yeah, the last track I've recorded is the last track I put on the album this time. And I've sent the album in very early stages to Gems. And so I had to send the last track after this. And sometimes working with me is not a pleasure, because I'm always changing things.
Yeah.
I like to have this sound on this, and I have to sound. I try different things. It's not that have really music in my mind. I have the lyrics in my mind. I have the atmosphere in my mind, and so the instrumental I have to record and to do by failure, if you want, or learning by failure.
Tell us about the dolls just quickly, because you've got some pretty messed up dolls that you've named. Some of them are quite disfigured. This is all a part of your imagery as well, but where did the idea of getting these creepy dolls involved in this project come from?
It is a little bit related to the name Xchnum. because it is said that in the Egyptian mythology, Xchnum was the god who fashioned people from the clay of the Nile.
Right.
And I thought this concept of working with things, I really like to have some physical aspects in my art that you cannot just made up digitally by being very professional in working with Photoshop, or to illustrate something. This is not enough for me. I need the satisfaction of throwing things together and to cut things, to glue them together, to put things together. For one doll, for the new artwork, I found on the street, this is a strange story, I found a dead bird.
A dead bird, did you say? Yeah.
And I live directly in the city, so I have to wait until it is dark. Then I go down and put up this dead bird with some gloves on, and prepared him because he's already dead, and prepared him on a little Jesus and prepared him on a little can. And this is it cleans something up working with dolls. It is more I can imagine doing this without making music or without writing something on this, just to have something like an exhibition of dolls. This would totally be fine.
Yeah, it's certainly something that I associate with your music and your project altogether, and it's quite creepy and sadistic, and I enjoy it a lot, very much. I almost feel rude asking you this next question because you have produced so much this year, 2020, and you're just about to release another album. But what's next for you? What's in the burner? What are you doing post this next album release?
It's I can please you. It's totally not rude because I always working on something. I cannot stop. It's therapy for me. It's totally therapy. And after this album, I will have some interesting collaborations, smaller, not on an album scale or record scale, but on a split scale.
Okay.
One I cannot tell yet, I guess. It will be. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. So
you don't have to say it, just in case.
And another one will be with a friend of mine from Canada. He has just launched his new record label. He started a record label himself, and we thought it could be funny to do a split on that together because he has a band. So, and this will be over Mors Eterna Productions from Canada, and there will we do a split. And after this comes something from my first real music project, Marschüre, and this will be more like a mixtape, but very twisted and strange music, a little bit more in the industrial electro direction.
Okay.
And and of course, these are the things that are planned in the business plan of Mors Eterna Productions, of Gems label. So these are the things that will come for sure on a certain date. And I'm always putting out stuff because, like I said, I cannot stop doing art, and so be prepared for some surprises. Maybe some surprises that will even surprise me, because maybe I record today a song. I don't know. We will see. So, yeah.
Excellent. We've got a lot to look forward to then, that's for sure. This has been so nice talking to you, Jonas, but obviously if there's anything you would like to say in addition to people that are watching, anyone that you'd like to shout out, now's your chance, so go for it.
Oh yes, at first I have to say hello to my auntie. She lives in Germany, so she cannot speak English, but I always wanted to do this. If I have international listeners, I always wanted to say hello to my auntie Elvira, and she's like a mother to me. So without her, I would not be there anymore. And big shout out to Gems, of course, to Jorge. He is for me the second official member of Xchnum Miiimiiikry. Without him, I would not be there. He's like a auntie in America for me, auntie with a mustache. But and yeah, to shout outs to Nobody. We all know him. We all love him. He is releasing his stuff today in America, I believe. Yeah, it's Friday.
Tomorrow in America. Yeah, 18th.
He is an amazing person, a kind person. Shout outs to Johnny and to you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Well, this is really cool. I'm very glad we got to catch up. I've been wanting to talk to you for some time because you've really intrigued me as an artist, and I really enjoy your work. It's very, very dark and different, that's for sure. To anyone watching, if you aren't familiar with Xchnum Miiimiiikry, I can't say it now. I'm so sorry. Please go and follow him on Instagram. He has an excellent page, very, very different. And as I said, there's a lot of visual content there. It's very, very cool. And of course, please check his discography out on Bandcamp. It's impressive. And again, I'd just like to thank you. So this was great. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for the nice chat. That was really, really great. And yeah, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Zerstört. Und du scherst dich nicht um Fleisch.